This is the network service of the NTA.
It's not business as usual, or is it? It's not business as usual in the sense that for some time, some organizations, some entrepreneurs, some parastatals were not working at full capacity. That means they did not have the full complements of their staff because of the lockdown as a result of COVID-19. We had phase 1 eased. We are easing gradually into phase 2, and more businesses are opening up, hopefully with more staff. And of course, it has brought some changes. People say there's a drought in income. Some say there's a drought in initiative and ingenuity. But be that as it may, life must go on. And life must go on with our hopes, with our ambitions, with our goals and objectives, and our determination for success. It's business as usual because you're watching Weekend Deal, where we gather together every weekend on the Nigerian Television Authority. And our focal point as usual is to ensure that you have accurate, on-time information so that where required, when necessary, you can make the necessary changes. And of course, ideas, innovations will come because we have an expert who will be talking about businesses. Some people have suffered different types of setbacks, but do you know the opportunities that you can avail yourself of that perhaps will have a positive income on your business, and by association those who work for you? And of course, the bigger picture, which is Nigeria. Well, we must thank all Nigerians for being the patriots that they are and supporting government at all levels to ensure that we continue together to flatten the curve. Welcome to Weekend Deal. Today we're talking about COVID and your business. My name is Thelma Obazia. Weekend Deal. COVID-19 is no respecter of persons, and the prevailing situation and research indicates very clearly that it may be with us for quite some time. Hence the phrase, the new normal. So, Francis investigated this phrase, the new normal, and brings us this package.
With the second phase of the gradual easing of the lockdown, which commenced on 2nd June and expected to last for an initial period of 4 weeks, the COVID-19 outbreak has spread fear and uncertainty across the world, as no country is exempted from this. Also, one of the realities of the coronavirus is the new normal it has engendered in the way things are done. The disease has so much affected social life and the world of work that there must be new ways of carrying out our daily human activities.
I'm happy with that cliche, the new normal. It has come to stay, whether we appreciate it or not. COVID-19 is a virus that we'll have to contend with for a while. I'm aware that there's no vaccine for now, and so as we live with it, and as it tries to, we try to contend with it, Nigerians will now have to think of ways, diverse ways to live and stay healthy.
One of the areas where the government lifted its ban is on religious gatherings. However, the opening of places of worship will be based on state government's protocols. How is the new normal in our worship places?
In churches, for instance, while we were there, we found out that the relationship appears to be more individualistic, as it used to be. Communal, religious trust and every other thing appears to be missing in terms of our relationship, because I do not trust the person sitting next to me, and my interaction with the person is going to be limited, irrespective of the fact that we are under the umbrella of the church and we believe that God can take care of everything. But by and large, we have to take care of ourselves before we call on God to protect us. Even the way we sing, the way we moderate activities, even the way the choirs are expected to open their mouth and talk. Of course, the face mask is going to limit the sound that will come out of it. The preachers themselves have to lead in this example. So like we said, it is a new normal. We are just going to live with a new attitude towards the way we do things, towards our belief system.
No sector can be said to be free from the effects of the global pandemic, as many people will be rendered jobless because all economic activities the world over have slowed down. Those who will be hit the hardest are small-scale businesses that may find it challenging to adapt to the new normal of doing business via virtual means.
The new normal has affected all sectors, especially the small businesses, like you rightly say. I'm a lawyer, and today courts have to practice virtual court sitting, and so you do not need to go to courtroom sometimes before you have your case heard and all of those things. We are trying to adjust even the rules and the laws that guides our practices to ensure that judgment coming from a virtual sitting and all of those are accepted and seen as proper and fit, and then document that can be used at any time. Now, in terms of small businesses, they are the worst hit because some businesses may never come to life again after COVID-19. And some, even when they come, they have to struggle to tag along. And so it's going to be a very big challenge. The challenge here is that operators of these businesses have to wake up and learn the new normal and also be compliant with some of the rules that will be coming out of that.
Another new normal is that classes and lessons will have to be done online, and this could be the pattern for some time to come. This will definitely pose major challenges for parents.
Federal government now have a new challenge to ensure that networks are provided all over the country. Then the issue of power. How do you now put your activities and timetable to be sure that at this very point when lecture is supposed to hold online, there will be electricity for me to hook on and all of those. So because we are still grappling with issue of power in this country, we are not likely going to be fully compliant with the challenge that will come from the new normal like we are talking about now.
As we are all aware, the data rate in our country is high, unlike in most countries where data is cheap or even free. Can the government help in reducing data rates in order to reduce the burden on parents and students?
Coming to the issue of private sectors in terms of the data service providers and all of this, we thought that they should have been our friend, more friendly to us now that we were in this situation, but they never did. Rather, they were even busy sending messages and deducting money from our account when we don't even need the messages. So I think they have not really lived up to expectation. And the NCC or the Ministry of Communication should have reprimanded them in that attitude. It was not good because a lot of Nigerians needed to have benefited from their free data.
Despite the easing of restrictions, the fight against COVID-19 is not yet over, as the virus is still potent and highly wasteful of human lives. Therefore, it is expected that all Nigerians take responsibility and play their roles. As much as all these new developments seem troubling, it is a clear opportunity to work things out for a better future ahead. Therefore, our focus on Weekend Deal today is on the new normal and how we can make the best out of them.
And that is what is critical. In every situation that you find yourself, you must look for a way to survive. Life, as long as you have breath and you have life in you, it means you still have a purpose here. It's unfortunate that some businesses may not survive or are not surviving the COVID-19, but be that as it may, can you look beyond that immediate environment and see what new opportunities are available? While you work on that and begin to enable yourself and think outside your comfort zone, we invite you to journey with us to Kano. There's much talk about the post-lockdown experiences, talking about COVID-19 and the market. What's that all about? Let's find out together.
In Kano City, The streets are busy and most activities are gradually taking shape. The popular Kantin Kori market has been existing for over 40 years as a center of business transaction, attracting people from within and outside Nigeria. Going by the atmosphere in the market, one hardly thinks that the market will ever close down. Surprisingly, Kantin Kori market has been closed down for months due to COVID-19 pandemic, which brought about standstill in the global economy.
It was indeed sad. It was indeed sad because our numerous traders are complaining. Almost of them have almost lost everything due to this lockdown. Somebody that is having, that was able to use only 100,000, 1 million. You are locked down. You are asked to stay at home.
As the tension relief with less number of coronavirus cases, business centers and markets reopened to convene in 3 days of Wednesdays, Fridays and Sundays of the week.
All we can say is we thank God because we suffer a lot, and this is another opportunity that we can use to regain what we lost in the past.
The decision resulted to a sigh of relief on the side of buyers and sellers.
To alhamdulillahi mun yi wa Allah godiya sakamakon da aka kai aka kawo har Allah ya kawo matakin da aka bude kasuwa.
Going around the market, one will observe a peripheral transaction, a lot of goods displayed to the scanty buyers. It is not surprising because the market, which should be shopped by people within and beyond Kano State or even neighboring countries, is only visited by Kano residents. Interstate transportation is not yet allowed.
Transaction is not as you expect, because some states are still under closed down. So to be honest, the market is not as we expect it to be.
Alhamdulillah, mun ji daɗi da buɗe kasuwan nan da aka yi, amma gaskiya rashin ciniki gaskiya a cikin kasuwannin nan gaskiya ba daɗi.
The government has already laid down protocols for any market association, like limiting the number of people in a store, like hand washing, use of face masks, and the also use of hand sanitizers.
At the entrance, officers ensure that people observe hand washing, but not everyone is seen wearing a face mask. Most traders acknowledge that the lockdown crippled their capital, thereby call on the government to intervene.
I want to call the attention of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to bring a policy from the Central Bank of Nigeria that will find a way to assist our numerous traders. People are crying, and it's real. Some of them cannot even pay the rent. Some of them, their capital is no more. We are not saying give us money free. It's possible some countries do it. Some countries do it. Even if you are not giving us money for free, give us an interest-free loan that at least our people will be able to start newly.
I was talking with somebody some time ago, last week, and he was saying that it goes beyond now just resuming work for those who are opportune to still have their jobs. You must let your employer know how valuable you are to his or her business. You, the employee, must begin to devise ingenious ways to make yourself relevant in the new scheme of things. And like we're saying, it's the new normal. Well, continue to send us your feel. Take the pulse of the program. See where you can fit in. Communicate with us. You're watching Weekend Deal, and we're going to have a conversation now with an entrepreneur and a business and security expert. And that security which we speak of is the economic security. And in this case, the economic security of our country, Nigeria, and those entrepreneurs who want to continue to run their businesses within COVID, post-COVID, they want to remain relevant. That's how we start our chat with Mr. Sadiq Hassan. How do you do? Great to have you on Weekend Deal.
Thank you for having me.
Businesses must continue to thrive, So what you'll obtain now, it's COVID and it's the new normal. Many of us are experiencing things that was not common in the past. Some people are getting hit financially and otherwise. How ought they to take off at this point so they still remain relevant in the scheme of things?
Yes, thank you for having me. First of all, we should realize the pandemic has reminded us what is real. And what is real in the sense is that we can no longer depend on international for food, agriculture, Medicare. It is time for us to look inward and develop economic that is sophisticated, inward, that will be able to be self-sufficient in order to take care of our need. This is one aspect of COVID, the coronavirus that we have come to stay today. Now, we are looking at, in terms of the holistic economic security, the first thing we should look at is mass program.
Mass program?
Yes. Mass program in the sense, if you are talking of agriculture, you talk of mass program. If you talk of health, you talk of mass program. If you talk about housing, you talk of mass program. Now, if you look at it, agriculture comes first because you must eat food before you can be able to do other things. Now, we are looking at it that from the government, federal and the state, should consider what I call cultivations of land programs. The cultivation of land programs, where every state, 50,000 to 100,000 hectares should be cultivation programs, because that takes a lot numbers of people, direct farmers and indirect farmers. So when this program is being implemented, you could see that already we are back to work.
Okay.
Yes.
Back to work?
Back to work.
Okay, so government must finance this programs?
Yes, government has to come up with the programs. Because in the state, how do you get land?
But the financing as well?
Yes, financing as well. Yes, government has to come in. What I mean by direct, if Ministry of Agriculture, for example, has said today, every farmers who intend to cultivate rice, for example, we intend to give you seedling.
Okay.
But you must cultivate a land that is up to 10 hectares, 5 hectares, 2 hectares, which already these farmers come in a group. They have formed SME.
Interesting.
Now, the indirect farmers who has a rice rolling mill, you could see they are booking, because to feed their factory, there's already enough productions of rice
going on.
But government has taken the first lead that this is the program that every state we should be able to cultivate 50,000 to 100,000 hectares. That is mass program.
But let me come in here. What is the advantage of the incoming farmers coming under the umbrella of an SME? What about if you do it individually? Is there any advantage?
No, the essence why you bring them together. For example, if a government now said, okay, we want to disburse, for example, a certain funds, they have to be a group which they are already registered. They are well known. At that time, you could see that the money the government is dispensing is going directly.
It's structured and well utilized.
Because at that time, you know who is who.
And somebody will also be monitoring the usage of those resources.
Then you get feedback.
And if there are challenges, people will know where to come in and who needs what. Wow, that's quite interesting. You know, Nigerians like to hear personal stories.
Yes.
Because more of the stories we're hearing now are, and people have to own up. Your business fails, you have to say it, because that means the impact you were making financially, perhaps in your family or in your neighborhood or anywhere else, is going to change. So you have to say it. For those who may not be crossing to farming or SMEs, who are looking for ingenious skills to survive, perhaps we know how important food is. Yes, food is key We must eat, like you said, to survive. But not everybody will farm.
Yes.
What of those in other businesses, like the fabrics now? People were, from Kano, we had, there are different stories of trials, How can we harness what is available, what is out there, and continue to move on?
Yes. If you look at it from security, economic security, in the first places, every nations have two major economic security strategy. The first is long-term economic security strategy. Second, short-term economic security strategy, which now become palliative. So palliative are not to sustain, but to ameliorate emergency.
For a short while.
For a short while. And especially, currently, that is what we need, which palliative. Now, in terms of referring to what you have said, yes, you structure the SME, whereby this SME, they get a soft loan, not with high interest. The people who are into garment, as you said, the tailor, the transport workers, road transport, you bring it all this, you create a program that, look, if you fall into this category, this is what you are liable to get in order to fit in, because it's a palliative measure. You'll be able to see that those who are now on a daily basis, daily income, has been able to, because they are informal sector, and largely Nigeria economy, to a certain larger percentage, is informal sector. So you could be able to see that at that level, then the idea is to make sure everybody is getting what is due and life move on.
Interesting. And no one becomes a liability.
No one becomes a liability. I keep on saying it. Government in any economy is the biggest spender. The more government spend money, the more government makes money. But it depends on the strategy you are adopting. That is what will now help. Give an example. When the COVID came, I said the next thing government needed to do is to say, okay, because government does not dash money, but they engage. All ministries, MDGs, agency said every contractor that you are owing 5 million, 10 million below should be paid.
Okay.
Now you could see that a man who has have about 5 staff, 6 staff, 10 staff, when you pay to those categories, they pay the workers salary. The workers goes to market to buy foodstuff, to take care of his needs. Those who are in the market pay school fees. They have a housing problem. You are already circulating.
So everybody gets something to take care of their basic financial responsibilities.
Yes. But when the government did not look at the strategy that can circulate, that is why I said 50, 10 million, 5 million downward. We are not talking of international contractor here. No, not big.
Settle the local.
Settle the local. Because
that's interesting.
It's a local problem. It has become
Indeed.
Emergency.
In fact, COVID is all over the world.
It's all over
so
the world.
no one should be expecting assistance from anyone.
That is why I said COVID has reminded us what is real.
To look inward.
To look inward. And what is real, our interest comes first.
Interesting.
So on the basis of this, you could see that in that area,
we ought to be selfish in a way.
Exactly.
Let's take care of Nigerians so that they in turn can take care of Nigeria.
Nigerians.
Good one, good one.
Yes.
It sounds workable, but I know that there's a lot of negotiation and talking and meetings that can bring this to bear, and we do hope it happens very soon. Is it already ongoing?
Yes.
Do you see signs of this happening?
Yeah, there's one thing for you to have a policy, but it's another thing to have a strategy to implement that policy. But for us to get it right, we have to be very aggressive.
So implementation is very key.
It's very key, because I've often said, if the CBN make provisions for loans for manufacturers, what are the criteria are you putting to assess this loan? At the end of the day, you have a huge billions, but nobody can access.
Accessibility is key. Okay.
So if you now look at it, that look, we're in a situations. These situations require emergency. What do we do? At that time, you change, you review the policy, the criteria for easy accessibility.
And that has been a major challenge for many people. They have ideas, they have ingenuity, they want to do something different, but many people complain or they feel that there's a big lacuna, there's a gap between those who need the loan and those who have these resources for them to use, okay?
Exactly.
We're going to come back and continue this conversation.
Okay.
We're looking at other opportunities that Nigerians can avail themselves of. Very interesting conversation thus far. You know, in the course of our chat, we talked about eating, how eating is key. So we must produce what we eat, and the production must be intensified now. And that's where restaurants will come in. They cook, Nigerians go to eat. What is happening in Lagos with regards to restaurant businesses?
The coronavirus, which has spread to about 170 countries and has killed about 40,000 people globally, has also disrupted most happenings around the world. For instance, education, businesses, churches and mosques, as well as the economy. With the recent easing of the lockdown, individuals and some businesses are at the verge of normalcy, while some are still in their hibernating stage, waiting to function properly again. One of such is the restaurant business.
To avoid the further spread of this virus, I believe limiting eating in restaurants is a good idea.
Just that the normal arrangement before should change, just like the buses, the transporters and the rest of it. So, but food is a necessity, so it shouldn't affect them that much.
Restaurants can stay open, but they don't have to be sit down. People can come in, order their food and leave, and they still get the same quality food and everything they want.
Online food delivery is a platform where customers get to view our menu via our online platforms and place an order for any meal of their choice from our menu and have it delivered to them at their preferred location in due time.
There is no doubt that public safety is the #1 priority for everyone. So many restaurants and eateries have taken the decision to close indefinitely, while others have chosen to only operate delivery services. Restaurants typically make their money on a daily basis from walk-in customers, and with the social distancing regulations, it has been drastically reduced or closed. On this note, delivery options have become imperative for all restaurants who choose to stay open during this time.
The challenges or constraints in the business varies based on operational system of the company. Now, NIPOST has a new regulation in which the prices of logistics has been increased. So imagine someone ordering for a food of 1,000 naira and the delivery for it is about 1,000 naira. So the high side. Also, the customer interface is no longer there, whereby you get to converse with the customer before placing an order for their meal. And also there is an issue of the mixed orders because of so many orders and so many people in different locations. We have mixed orders.
Food delivery requires innovative logistical interventions that may include buying new delivery bikes or using existing delivery companies. One of the ills of online food vendors is hygiene adaptations. However, according to the World Health Organization, there is no evidence that COVID-19 can be transmitted through food. It can be transmitted through infected surfaces. As difficult as these times are, it is important to put safety first because the customer's health comes first. Keeping them informed on hygiene changes, delivery methods, new concept, and all through your social media platforms is key to keeping your customers.
Post-COVID-19 is a quite tricky situation in the sense of now there's the 60-40 thing, whereby 60% for the workforce and 40% for the food force, which is going to render quite a number of people jobless. And there's going to be low revenues, and the rents and the utility bills, logistics, admin are still going to be the same or even if not increased. So this is going to call for rigorous work from entrepreneurs. So we hope this goes away in due time, and life gets back to normal.
While ordering food is great, it is suggested you stock up and cook essential foods at home, as it gives you full control of your food and preparatory conditions. As the world is gravitating towards normalcy, Nigeria is not left out. People can stop by any restaurant or eatery at lunchtime on a normal day, as it used to be, and get a sense of their favorite meals again, hopefully soon.
Thank you, Lagos. That was quite detailed. We must eat. We must eat to live. So it's essential, and we also need to eat healthy meals. But at this time, what is critical is that business owners, even restaurateurs, must devise ingenious ideas to ensure that they pull crowd. Because people are not even looking at, the food must not be very rich. Why should I go and spend maybe 1,000 or 500 naira on a plate of food when I can just buy vegetables 50 naira, put small oil, no need for protein again. We're just eating to survive. Wow. That's where risk taking must come in. Mr. Sadiq Hassan, tell us, you're a business entrepreneur. Are businesses taking the risk they ought to? And at what point do you say, this is the risk or this is the ingenious method I need to bring up, and that is the area I ought not to go? What guides your decisions at this time?
Yes, if you look at it from the current reality, you must be creative. You think inward. There must be risk. In the sense you are talking about the food. For example, a restaurant, someone who is running a restaurant, if before maybe a plate of eba, which is gari, and possible 2 meat, goes for 300. Now, by the strategy to encourage people is to bring it down to 200, if it is possible, so that you'll be able to see that those who before who can afford will now continue to affording it, because it gives you the privilege and the leverage to continue. Then, why instead of people now to discourage that, why should I have to go to to a restaurant and spend 500 naira while I can just buy a cup of gari myself and do that? But for you now to look at that, you have already now encouraging that those people who are doing that before, you can now continue. That is the risk you take. Now those who employ people who run such businesses, you can now be able to sit down and say, look, some bank has done that. Look, because of the present conditions, the situation we are, we don't intend to lay people off. But why can't we look at some percentage to reduce in terms of income what you are going to get? That is risk.
So the employees will come on board with the entrepreneur. They sit down and deliberate together. Rather than lay you off, are you willing to get reduced income?
Because it's an open, you are seeing it.
That's interesting.
That is the risk. Several company has approached us, we've advised them that what you needed to do by this time, don't lay off any staff. What you do, look at what you are paying and how do you reduce it, and say from now till the end of the year, and let us see how do we.
Then while you do that, everyone is thinking of ingenious methods to keep the business moving.
Going. And it is now time also to think outside what you do before.
Outside the box.
How do you now add that? Now it is not even outside the box. You think without the box. It's no longer outside the box. You think without the box.
Interesting. That is it.
Yes.
That is it. There's no box anymore.
There's no box anymore. So you have to think without the box.
Good.
Yes. A tailor has approached us and said, look, they are fashion designer. They normally pay daily for the tailors so amount of money. But now what would they do? I said, what you needed to do, negotiate. If you are paying them 2,000, 1,500 a day, now you cut it down. But they are in business. While you, possible a garment, you sew it and sell it before at 1,500, 2,000, you bring it down.
800.
This is the risk. If your profit margin before is about maybe 30%, you bring it.
You are willing to take time.
You are willing to take time. That is the risk. You will now see that people continue and everybody is involved.
From our conversation, I'm getting the drift that what we should focus on now is survival.
Yes.
Let us survive this new normal, and then while we survive, we begin to bring up new ideas to now move forward. So don't think too much of gains now. Just think of maintaining the status quo.
The status quo.
The best way you
We are
can.
doing business to survive, not to make much profit, but for living. Because you needed to live before you think of profit. That is why the both have
And
to
as
come
you
together.
live, you can also help your employees to live. Because everyone has some responsibilities somewhere.
It's better to be in the business than to be out of business.
Just, we talked about teachers. Many of our contributions so far are crying out that teachers at home, some private schools are doing some online learning, public schools are at home, and some students have not been getting any form of learning at all. You did say you'd have a word or two to pitch in on that.
Yes, when it comes to the issue of schools, especially the private school, we know the government are having their own challenges, but when it comes to private school, I think the best advice we should look at and the strategy is that let's bring the school fees to some certain level, and it still boils down for us to come together to agree that we have a problem and how do we solve these problems. That is why you gain, you lose, you take risk, then all of us are in together. By the time the game change, we all see it together. There's nothing wrong for the private school to say, look, we are going to reduce the salary as well as reducing the school fees for the parent to be able to pay, so that then the school continue, the education continue. Because despite we are talking of COVID, it's not changed except we are looking at curriculum. It has nothing to do yet on that curriculum. It is the same subject.
Students must get knowledge.
Must got knowledge. It's still the same subject they are going to teach when the school resumes.
Life must go on.
Life must go on.
And everybody is feeling the pinch from one area or the other.
Because the parent who has taken his children to school need to make money from somewhere. If he is reduced, definitely the same thing, he has to come here and say, look, now this is what am I earning before, but presently these are my earning. What do we do?
Interesting. Thank you so very much. Finally, let's look at post-COVID. It's our hope COVID will come to an end, and with the amount of research and professionalism coming from the medical area, it's our hope that will happen sooner rather than later. Post-COVID, let's look at businesses, entrepreneurs, risk-taking.
Yes, that you see, your misfortune is your fortune.
In what regard?
It depends how you look at it. Post-COVID has taught us to reality. If you now look inward, it's now for you to think that what do we do after post-COVID? What is the next line of actions? That is why in economic security, you have two major, long-term and short-term. The long-term gives you economic security, economic foundation for economic security, that to survive. Then the short-term, it gives you palliative. Now, why do we need to be importance item that can be done here? We'll look at it. Do we need to go back to long-term and start the long-term? When you be able to get your long-term and fix it, when you now have a problem, the short-term, you take care of it. This is one of the lessons that I think as a nation we need to learn.
We need to learn
from post-COVID. And when you don't learn from your history, history is expensive.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hassan Sadiq. Sadiq Hassan, I just reversed your name. But the knowledge that you have ingrained in us today has been invaluable. And it's knowledge that will help us to survive.
Yeah.
The new normal is here, COVID is here, we must survive it, we will surmount it, and then we must learn lessons from it so that perhaps we'll be more successful in the long run because we have taken the importance out of this experience.
Yes.
Business entrepreneur, security expert, economy expert, right? Thank you for focusing on our economy and the citizens of Nigeria. Thank you so very much. You're watching.
experts.
Oh, interesting.
Yes.
Security strategy experts. And that security is the economy of our great country, which every Nigerian contributes in one way or another. You're watching Weekend Deal. A break beckons. We'll be right back. Don't go too far from your television. Weekend Deal. It's great to have your company on Weekend Deal as usual. We've been talking about entrepreneurship, risk-taking, opportunities available, the way forward, surmounting COVID, maintaining status quo with understanding for your employees. Our guest, Mr. Sadiq Hassan, even talked about schools, teachers, owners of schools, government. Each one needs to take a decisive step that we have the best impact on Nigerians. So we got this message from Kwara, and he's saying that some private school teachers are not getting anything during the COVID period now. While schools are not on, teachers are not getting paid. We hope you listen to the conversation with our economic strategic expert. Okay, he talked about steps that everyone can take so that we can create an enabling environment. Everyone must be ready to have some small inconvenience at this time because everyone is affected. We also got this message from Kanu. He says he's very happy with the program. Shuaibu Hussein from Kanu says he likes the program. He liked the conversation and is taking away a lot of knowledge. From Akwa Ibom, Don is asking, he says, how do doctors know that when a COVID-19 patient becomes negative? If you follow the trend of the popular conversation out there, locally and internationally, tests are done. You need to be tested to know that you are positive in the first place. You go into isolation, and depends on how doctors are doing it. At different times, you get tested. Some people recover faster than others. What is important? Once you test positive, medical professionals take over from that point, and they begin to guide you until you have a full and complete recovery. We now go to our next feature, and it's talking about opportunities in the tourism sector amidst COVID.
Nobody has ever seen anything like this. It's not an epidemic, it's a pandemic that's gone endemic. So it's come as a shock, it's hit the whole globe, and it's not going anywhere in a hurry. It's here, to stay. So we have to deal with that. If you look at tourism, and especially the touch human part of it, tourism is the largest employer of specific demographics of the labor force, women and the youth. If you look at those specific numbers globally, 300 million. It has hit every aspect of the tourism ecosystem. The transportation, the hospitality, the entertainment. It's been devastating. Expensive and glamorous isn't selling much right now. Secure, COVID compliant, safe is what's selling now. Hotel, room service, spa, salon, buffet, my bed sheets, my towel, they're all things that I have to be taken into serious consideration and rejigged to make the visit comfortable. And it's not just about physical comfort, it's about the medical information that is out there and how compliant that hotel is and how people feel. And it's not just local, it's global. So if you don't do it, it's tough for you to say you are going to get out of that new market. Without the legal framework, without a law, the oil industry would never have taken off. Without a law, the telecoms industry would not be what it is today. Without a law, the banking industry would not be what it is today. So tourism is asking for a law that takes us from 090, not 90, to 0803. That is what it's going to do. And it's simple. It gives people clear lines. It sends a statement that this is a business. It's a business that you can invest in. It's a business you can borrow for. It sends a statement that we are serious about tourism. Now, people are not going to want to travel far from home. So you want to be close to home. You also probably not want to go to a place where the mortality rate was very high. You probably want to go to somewhere where the mortality rate was moderate to low. So, our domestic tourism agenda that we have had for a few years, and we're still sticking to. So, it's local, national, regional, and international confidence will now build up on that. Tourism is a quick start. It's a quick start for post-disaster recovery. And if you look at 9/11, tourism was a very useful tool in restarting the American recession that followed that. We look at the global economic meltdown. Again, tourism was a useful tool in its recovery. If you look at the case of Rwanda's recovery, tourism was also a good tool. All those destinations that used to so love Nigerians coming are screaming because Nigerians are not coming. And I'm happy. I'm sorry. I'm happy that Nigerians are staying in Nigeria. What I'm now encouraging Nigerians to do is to understand that this is not the time, honestly, that we can ask this country, considering our finances and the global recession we are expecting post or even during this pandemic. Don't ask what Nigeria can do for you. Ask yourself, what can you do for Nigeria now? Because that's where we are.
Many of us, patriots, Nigeria, we know what June 12 represents. The name Moshood Kashimawo Abiola rings a bell, and that's why. And now June 12 is Democracy Day. So we have this package. We know you'll learn from it. Let's see this.
Yesterday celebrated a double monument in our nation's political history. Firstly, Nigeria marked 2 decades and counting of uninterrupted democratic governance. In addition, this is the first year that the nation's celebration of democracy was slated for the 12th of June, instead of the previously recognized 29th of May. Last year, President Muhammadu Buhari instituted this adjustment to the nation's calendar to commemorate the groundbreaking Nigerian presidential election of June 12, 1993, in which a victory was adjudged for a candidate by the name of Moshood Kashimawo Olaole Abiola. However, a controversial turn of events resulted in an annulment of results and the subsequent imprisonment of Abiola until his untimely death. These 1993 elections have been described as a watershed in Nigeria's election process, but have the lessons been tangible for the nation, and is progress being made in our electoral system?
During the Abiola and Kingibe, they were all Muslims, and no Nigerian was able to even raise his voice. Why should Abiola, a Muslim, and then Kingibe, a Muslim, should have a ticket for president and vice president? We never thought of that. We thought of us as Nigerians to work together. But these days, corruption and personal interest have gone deep into our hearts, and we want to say every Nigerian wants to be a leader. Every section of the country wants to produce a leader. When we talk about even this rotational, it's not even important to think of rotational. If we are talking rotational presidency or rotational governorship or even rotational senator, it means we don't even appreciate ourselves. I believe if I have a leader, let him come from anywhere. Let him be of any religion.
Abiola gained national and international prominence as a philanthropist. He invested heavily in Nigeria and West Africa through numerous job-creating initiatives to combat poverty, disease, and hunger. From 1972 until his death, Abiola had been conferred with 197 traditional titles by 68 different communities in Nigeria in response to his having provided financial assistance in the development of infrastructure across 24 states. Despite all of this credit, it was only recently that he was recognized nationally with a posthumous honor of Grand Commander of the Federal Republic, legitimizing Abiola's win in the 1993 elections. June 12 was also declared as the New Democracy Day in Nigeria and a national holiday in perpetuity. In addition, the National Stadium was renamed in Abiola's honor, a fitting tribute for the renowned lover of sports. These are indeed significant points of consensus for the nation. But are these restorations merely motivated by politics?
Nigeria is like a silk gown like this. If you raise this side, then this side falls. And if you raise this one, the other side falls. And if you decide to raise your hand to make sure this one comes out, you walk like a madman. So for whatever decision you take, there will be critics. And in any decision you take in life, there is merit and demerits. But as long as the merits are more than the demerits, then let everybody think his own way. Because he's a leader. What Buhari did is an excellent thing. He was head of state before, and he fought for the unity of Nigeria. And he saw this thing. He knew that a section of this country has been wounded, or the whole country has been wounded, because some of the people that love Abiola are in the north, in the south, or east, or west of the country. So therefore, he said, let him find a way in healing this one.
During his political career, Abiola sponsored campaigns to end slavery, racism, and colonialism in Africa. He also championed an optimistic economic policy to address the nation's debt. Abiola is reputed to have won the most democratic and most uniting national presidential election conducted in Nigeria's history. Yet, he never had the opportunity to lead as president of Nigeria while he lived. His legacy and the circumstances surrounding his imprisonment and death highlights the need for good leadership in Nigeria.
As we celebrate the first anniversary of Democratic Day, the June 12, I am wishing for all politicians we should put our heads together and think more of the country than ourselves, and think more of how we can improve the situation in this country, where we can make it better country for our children, for our grandchildren, and for the generations to come. I believe that once we put our heads together, we can achieve. But politics of bitterness should not be encouraged.
MKO Abiola is recognized nationally and internationally for his philanthropic endeavors and as an icon of democracy for a political career that bridged geographic, ethnic, and religious divisions in Nigeria. He remains an important subject in Nigeria's political and economic history, and in these trying times, a symbol of hope.
Happy Democracy Day, Nigeria. And still talking about celebrating democracy, we move quickly to Asaba in Delta State.
Democracy Day in Nigeria is always an annual event celebrated as a public holiday to commemorate the restoration of democracy in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The day has always been marked with parades from security groups, organizations, families, individuals, both at the federal and state level, with so much honor and pride as we celebrate the labor of our heroes past. But with the coronavirus pandemic called COVID-19 that hit the world early this year, life has never been the same. Nearly all countries of the world, Nigeria inclusive, imposed significant restrictions on movement of people and goods, including the prohibition of public gatherings and shutting down of markets, except for those dealing on essential commodities. Since then, humanity have been going through difficult times as they grapple with the challenges posed by the coronavirus disease. Not minding the hard times, Democracy Day is here again, although there is now an ease of restriction in certain areas across the state, a new behavioral pattern and preventive measures enforced to fight the coronavirus disease. How are the people in Enugu State celebrating this year's Democracy Day?
Just as we have been doing since the inception of this COVID-19, Nigeria should celebrate with caution, having in mind the precautionary measures we are supposed to take, like social distancing, wearing your face masks, washing your hands regularly, keeping all those things even as we celebrate.
Well, Democracy Day celebration has always been a thing to celebrate. But with children at home on this COVID issue, it has been very hectic.
With schools still closed, we also felt the pulse of the young people.
To the extent because of the pandemic, and we have to take caution and we have to take measures towards containing it. And that's why I know the government, the states and the federal government say that the students should stay at home.
Desperate times call for desperate measures as life must continue even with COVID-19. What then should be the way to right living?
But we have to survive. We need each other at this moment.
It's a situation that they want to turn upon all of us. Globally, it's not Nigeria. So we are bound to make some sacrifices.
It would be recalled that Democracy Day in Nigeria was celebrated every May 29th since 1999. But on June 2018, the President Buhari-led federal government changed the date to June 12 to commemorate the democratic election of Chief MKO Abiola on June 12, 1993, in what was adjudged to be Nigeria's freest and fairest elections that was, however, cancelled. As we celebrate another Democracy Day, let's keep our hope alive, for together we shall overcome. Happy Democracy Day, Nigeria.
Thank you for your message, Rollins Foster from Port Harcourt. Good morning, Weekend Dale. Talking about landlords and landladies, it says the house rent, it says any advice on them for what to do to assist their tenants. He is saying he believes that landlords too can have that understanding feeling, because it's not business as usual in this new normal that we'll find ourselves. It may be a considerate move to have a reduction in the rents that Nigerians pay. This is coming in from Rollins Foster from Port Harcourt. One more message now. Sadiq Abdul Razak is from Kogi State, although he's based in Lagos. He says when COVID-19 started, he lost his job, as did many others. He was quite excited to hear what Sadiq Hassan said, that employers should show a bit more understanding for those who are working for them. If all hands are on deck, we can survive and surmount COVID together with a little understanding and sacrifice from everyone. That's the size of our package on Weekend Deal today. We thank you for keeping our company. Have yourself a great day. Join us again tomorrow morning, bright and early. My name is Thelma Obaze.